1 minute. I'm trying to put my I'm trying to put my phone on speaker so I can just I don't have my headpiece close by. Apparently I forgot it where I went to or something. Okay, so can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so the story of Omar and Ife, it's quite peculiar, looking at the circumstances that surround them as a person. Now, the first thing, looking at Mr. Coker, Mr. Coker happens to be what it was Ife's stepdad, and the
Yes.
atrocities he committed, we weren't told that Mr. Coker was apprehended. We're only told that he went to the police station. Of course, he debunked whatever he first said, and we nobody knew anything about. We're not told if he was really apprehended. Yes, like they say, karma is a bitch. Pardon my French, please. But then I felt that the law should have done better. The law should have done better in prosecuting him with nailing when there are nailing evidences that shows that he was actually a first life, obviously for the purpose of inheriting what does not belong to him. And looking at our society today, that's there we tend to see that a lot. We tend to see people that cross the line. We tend to see them walk freely, so to say. We tend to see them walk away without charges, without any extra what's it called, without any extra punishment, so to say. We tend to see them, walking freely, and of course that makes every other person sad. Like, okay, so if this person can do this, and maybe by the reason of power or something which we were not told really, and he was able to get away with it because the law, I felt the law, it should have been prosecuted with that nailing evidence that Ife produced to the police. You should be prosecuted. That's a death. I can't remember what it's called in law, but it's like you threatening somebody with vex. That's a big accusation, so to say. It's not something it's not something that should be treated with levity. Do you understand? But we didn't get the fact that the law actually prosecuted that. Yes, the guy that was supposed to do the job. Remember that we're told that he died in the cell mysteriously. Of course,
Mm.
that shows us that either Mr. Coker, being the hype man, being the very big man, had tipped off the policemen. Because how did the guy die? All of a sudden he died, and they didn't look into his death. His death was not, why did he have to die after he had pointed Mr. Coker out as an accomplice, as somebody that sent him to kill Ife? Why did he have to die suddenly? Of course, all fingers point back to Mr. Coker, but of course we're not told that the police did their due diligence. We're not told that the police did they dig down, because really, for a proper investigator, that is a pointer that, okay, so why should this guy die? They should have checked what he ate, who visited him last, what did he eat, and a whole lot of stuff. Please give me 1 minute, ma'am. 1 minute.
No problem. So I don't know if NK is available to talk now, if it's possible for you.
Sorry, just give me 1 minute. I quickly need to attend to something right away. I'm
No
sorry.
problem. No problem.
Is anybody saying anything? And hearing any?
Mm. Okay, sis. I'm not sure if NK can speak. If you can speak, it would be nice for you to unmute. So let's check for you. Some more about to finish off what she's doing. Thank you.
There's a conversation going on because I don't know. I'm not hearing anything.
Oh, there's no conversation. We're waiting for you. Let's
Ah,
check. Okay, so NK, you can unmute. So let's
I think
welcome.
I've unmuted. I can hear you guys now. You hearing me?
Yes,
Oh,
can hear you.
okay.
You have the floor.
So,
Hello.
so,
Yeah, we can hear
so it's just three of us that is here now.
you. Yeah, sure. So we'll move.
Okay, so do you want me to continue or someone else is speaking?
No,
NK
continue,
was
continue,
okay, okay.
Okay, let me hold on
no,
for her.
continue,
We'll
continue.
So
continue.
okay. So like I said, we were now told that the law did their due diligence, which I think that's a minus, and we should look into that. Like I said, looking at our society, it does not make it makes the one that is guiltless feel bad that okay, even despite the fact that this is being reported, and when you look at it critically again, looking at our own economy at the moment, you find that when there are serious offenses, people the last place people want to go to go and report is the police station because they don't feel secure now. They say police is our friend on paper, but in reality, it doesn't look as such. It doesn't read as such. It doesn't seem as such. So when atrocities are being committed, you are scared of going to report, but because you don't know if the police will now even turn the case against you, and I think these are the things that needs to be some way somehow checkmate. I think with the author, we need to should have done better with that aspect. Now going to Oma and Ife. So yes, we can never how do they say it? We can't um we can't judge where we find love. We can't determine where we find love. So Ife and Oma got along, and thank God for Mrs. I can't remember the name of the friend now, that really got her enclosed with God, and she was able to move on. And I actually love that about the writer, because she portrayed God to be, like, you without him you are complete, and that's just the honest truth. And to the point that even if I now got more committed, and I give a kudos to that shows that the Christianity is not downplay, it's not downplay, it's not being seen as wishy-washy. It is being upheld or uphold as what it is. So really, I think that is all I have to say.
Thank
Thank
you.
you,
So
sis.
thank you. So NK, please go on.
Okay,
Sorry?
for me, I like every episode was good.
Okay.
It became disjointed and raw. I don't know, maybe I don't know who would have gotten happened in between. Sha was asking from arguing a sudden phase. as if something was really. Then after her family and all, bringing in that spiritual, as in where she where she was off with her family, you know, it gave that impression that her family generally were days. It was just circumstances with her father that caused the whole thing. So I didn't family had to bear that brunt, you know. The fact that she left and didn't look back, didn't even care her siblings, or even if it's knowing what is going on with at least her siblings, you know. You might cut off siblings, you can't cut off from them because you were such Oma was supposedly the first child of that family. So 15 years. It felt somehow for me anyway. I couldn't relate to that, you know, especially our the way we are built traditionally in, let me say, in our Nigeria, because it's it's just off that a child cuts off completely from her family for that long. I know, I just like the fact that Ife stood his ground, saw another part of Oma that he Oma calmed down enough to realize that Oma know what family having a family is like, you know, and Binta bringing her to Christ was actually a fun. Is in all, I think what made me not bother with the last story, what made me not bother about the last story was that at some point it became too long and became repetitive, you know, to get one's attention, be catchy enough, get one's attention, just like this almost got my attention. I was always looking forward to it. I was opening ATS almost every day. Like every day, I'll open to check if I missed anything.
Okay.
Read. Just that the last two chapters were,
Quite
or
disjointed.
the bits for me, because the confront, I didn't with it gave that impression that there was going to be a confrontation between she and Zoe, you know, and then Judith, what happened to her? Did Oma know about Judith's madness? Did Ashley know about it? You know, we didn't get ending with Ashley just went out of the picture in the last two chapters. She just went out of the picture completely. For people that have been, it felt like there was no explanation between she and Ashley came together to say, okay, I'm sorry, you know. So that's why I kept having that feeling, a rush with the ending of the story. But in all, it was all good. It was nice.
Thank you. Thank you so, so much. Thank you so much, ladies. First of all, thank you for not leaving me alone here by myself.
I
And secondly, thank you so much for your quick summary. So, yeah, I get the impression that the impression I have is that maybe she wanted to move on to another story, so she just quickly rounded it up. and hopefully.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. So you mentioned something about sorry, I will tell you later when we are done here. So you
Okay.
mentioned something about that Oma not getting in touch with her siblings for 15 years and all and everything. Yeah, so I guess the trauma, when maybe if she had reached out to them, maybe one of them would have given her away. Do you understand? Number one.
Mhm.
Number two, maybe she was not even proud of herself. I remember she had nightmares. She kept having nightmares, and of course, she was, it was obvious she was traumatized. Do you understand? And so that alone is a major, major, major barrier for her. I'm not trying to make excuses for her, but I guess those were part of the reasons why she didn't feel she didn't feel obligated. She didn't feel any enthusiasm to say, okay, let me reach out to these people. Let me even know how they are faring. Let me know how they are doing. Really, I
Thank
just
you.
felt, I'm looking at it from she being traumatized. Of course, for anybody, anything that makes you fear, you don't want to go near that thing. The only thing you want to do is to forget about that thing. So maybe those times she was having those dreams were the times the parents were trying to get in touch, and of course she just feels it in her body, and she get traumatized, and of course that drove her further away from them. Also, bro, that drove her further away from them rather than trying to, clinch up with them and all. Maybe, just maybe.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah,
much
thank you, ma'am.
for that. So for me, my understanding is that the thing that will make you want to go back, for example, to a place that you ran away from is that there's some tie. Maybe for example, I think if you had maybe had a serious bond with some of her siblings. And it wasn't just a case of that, so you must take care of your siblings because you are the elder one. If I don't believe that parents were so intentional, well, these days we are learning about intentional parenting and all of that. But I don't think there was anything at home for her that she would be able to say, oh, I miss, for example, let's say it was a great bond she had with her mother, for example. I don't think there was anything pulling her back home from all that
Yeah,
she
you're
went
right
through.
about that.
There was nothing that I could say, oh, I miss so and so, okay, I want to look back. Because obviously, someone that can easily, well, I think she's just a bit hard person. She seemed to fall in love too quickly for a hard person. So it suggests to me that she's not such a hard person at all. She was just form those bonds that will make her want to look back because at least Ife was able to influence her enough. She was able to meet someone like Binta. So she was, in my opinion, she was actually a fertile ground that was just disguising. And just a little push, a little nudge here and there was enough to break her defenses, which suggests to me that those defenses were not so strong after all. And if you just needed, as in her parents or her siblings, just needed to reach out.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
yeah.
like
I
at
concur
the
with
end
you
of
on
the
that.
yeah. So, yeah, one thing I like about one of the reasons why I would like to share this story is that I think the consistency, and I think someone had mentioned that the story was it was to the point, and I think it shows intentionality from the author. For example,
Yeah,
like I like to tell myself that I don't want to go beyond, for example, 26 episodes. So when I'm writing with the understanding that I don't want to go
I don't.
beyond
Yeah, this
certain number
particular
of
episode.
chapters.
Chapter,
So I
yeah.
think that our previous author that will not call her name, I think she was just writing as for
Yeah.
fun. So because we got to the point where we were entering the third and fourth generation of this, and I'm like, end this one now. Let's start a new one and all of that. So yes, in this particular story, I would like to give that. I would like to give kudos to the author. He didn't drag. He
Yeah,
didn't.
no, no, no. There
It
was no
didn't drag
repetition.
at all. There was no join. There was no. All the characters were defined.
And they were on point. It was just okay. What I suspect is that towards the end, I think she just got bored of writing the story, and she was like, "No, let me wrap this up."
Just go to conclusions. And that was when Peter came up because we didn't even know about Peter initially.
Yes.
Yeah, you see. So I wasn't the only one confused about Peter.
So I think the good thing for her is that she can always write a sequel. She has opened the door to a sequel and even a prequel. Whatever she, however way, I think that she still has the opportunity if she decides to maybe write a second part or a third
All
part or
better
tell me
for a
something.
prequel because we really need to. It will be a good thing. Go back. It's because of I came here. It will really be a good thing to actually know what Oma went through.
Exactly.
A prequel will
And
really be nice, telling us
Yeah,
about Oma's life. Gone. We know, yes, she touched that part, but I'm sure
she
it's going to
didn't.
be an interesting story if she really talks
She
about how
didn't.
Oma got introduced
into the
to
high,
it, her
high
reaction,
class.
where she was, how old she was when she really started. No,
Mm-hmm.
things like
And
that.
to
The
Just
go
change,
go
to
to
become the madam of the
well,
old.
yeah.
how she passed through the pain, how she got to the point she is now.
Yeah, really,
It's a
that's
good
nice. It was
thing.
really nice if she was able to tell us that. At least we could pick one or two lessons from that. But what then I from the character of Oma, one could understand that she's a resilient person.
Mm.
She's
Thank you.
dogged and she's resilient.
Thank you for that resilience part because I like to talk a lot about resilience because I was just thinking a lot about it today. A lot of us are complaining, no, this didn't happen, so and so. But when you hear the stories of some people that started off with far less than you did, you now
Yeah,
realize it's being like a black for a while. And so
yeah,
I think I was really thinking today and thinking respect to someone. Or giving something to the person was saying that it's not so much about your skill and your talents and all of that. It's actually about your ability to not give up even when things are not going
I'm doing
according
well.
to you.
Do you
So
know what? Are we
okay,
the only
please
one on
go.
this line? Are we the only one on this line?
We are seeing now, but I'm recording. So whatever it is that you want to say that is sensitive, don't say it yet until we
Okay.
go off. Whatever you say is sensitive, don't say it yet.
I think I can just say it really. So when things go really bad, do you know what I do now? I sell food. I sell food at
Mm,
the junction of my house. That's why you can hear all the cars and everything, blah blah blah
mhm,
blah. Of course, some people that knew me and they're like, "What the heck? Why are you doing this? Is it that bad? Is it that?" I said, "Well, it's called survival of the fittest. Even if you have a 9 to 5 job, even if you have other things you're doing, I will still just want to do this, that's something but the people that buy from me, I do a father. I
mm,
do a father. I started with a father alone. So I added white rice. Now I'm looking at starting your lot size. Just as the space is very small. And I'm already looking at how do I get a bigger place because my target before was for people coming back from work at night and they are not ready to cook. They look at there's this lady that sells a father here. They call me Posh of Father Seller because I don't even know how to advertise it. I just say, Father here. And they will laugh at me, and out of laughter at me, they will come and say, okay, yeah, let me come and buy. And later my
mm.
boys join me. They will say, come and buy my mommy's spicy of father. My mommy's of father is sweet. My mommy's of father is, and that was how I started getting people to buy from me. And at the beginning, of course, it was not. I didn't find it funny. That's the truth. I didn't find it funny. I didn't. It was like you're graduate for crying out loud. You are this, you are that, you are educated, and this is what you deserve to be. This is what you. And I'm like, well, at 40, I was 40 January. Getting a job now is something. like putting the needle, putting the camel through the eye of a needle, and and I resort to do a remote job, which I've not even been able to get. So I'm still trying. I've not been able to get, but I just said to myself, I'm not going to keep sleeping and waking up and wishing that my problems will go away and wishing that bills will take care of themselves. Do you understand? And I said, in fact, there was a time I actually got a job. I got a job at Cadbury, and of course I had to sleep with the person that interviewed me. It was that bad. Some things when you hear them and it has not happened to you before, you don't
mm,
you don't kind of resonate well with it. You're like, okay, they say it happened, they say it happened. I was like, that was like, babes, you're intelligent, you're fast. Yes, you're looking at the level you were before you came for this interview. You might have to do one or two training, which is not an issue. I know that you are going to pick up in less than a month. You are good for the role, but guess what? You have to rub my palm. At that point, I have to decline. I have house rent bills on my neck. I have spent my boys' school fees on my neck. But
mm,
then I said to myself, that was what made me to start doing it. I said, okay, I love cooking. It's a passion for me. Let me start making money from it. Apart from the catering services I render, and it's as if everybody just forgot me altogether. And
mm,
like months there was no job. Like I didn't do one job. I know the way
mm,
kids are. They would eat, boys for that matter. They would
mhm,
eat all their clothing at the moment. They are all worn out. House clothes are all worn out. Today I feel they select some clothes and say, okay, this one is no longer good for church. We can be wearing this at home. So is that bad? But guess what? I said to myself, I would not, I won't lose out, and it's not over until I win. I
mhm,
don't know. I don't know how that's going to happen, but I wrote it if you enter my empty city, my filled city room. My city room is not empty in Jesus' name, but I keep speaking positive. I pasted it on the cardboard and I pasted it on my wall. That I'm not going to be a loser, and it's not going to be over until I win. However, it's
mhm,
going to happen, I don't know. However, it's going to be, I don't know if I'm even clueless, but I know it's going to happen. I
amen.
from since January, I became very conscious of my confession. So even when I'm telling the boys we have plenty of food at home, they understand what I mean. Okay, mommy means they want to say. I say no, it is plenty. We have abundance at home. We don't have less, and some way somehow we keep having abundance. you know,
Mm,
going back to being resilient. I know somebody that said, I mean, there are better things you can do. Why should you be selling by the roadside on just one paco, put one plank together and you are selling there for crying out loud? No, it's not as bad as that. Start making it look as if the world has come to an end. And I say people that hawk, do they have two heads? Of course they don't. People tell us that time and chances. You don't know, maybe it is this small place I'm doing, that is where something big will come up and all and all. And so speaking about being resilience, I have said to myself that I'm not going to give up. But the guy still called me, or I sent him a message and said, how far about the position issue, please? He said no, that there is not even the position at the moment is not available again. But I can still be in side chick, like they said, see, it was really that serious hype, I like you, not just for her. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you know, don't even let me start. Don't let me start that. But really, I've seen it. I've seen what it needs to be out there. I run
wow.
uniform. I run uniform for schools too. There's a company I did uniform. They wanted me to do uniform for. I did like 6 different samples with my money. I did. They were supposed to pay for samples, but I did with my money. And guess what? They took my sample, gave it to someone, gave it to a roadside tailor to reproduce for them. That was also on Monday. In fact, I felt very bad. I felt low in spirit. I was low. I was down totally. I was just weeping. Of course, that triggered my BP, went up. I didn't sell on Monday. I didn't sell on Tuesday. I didn't sell on Wednesday. And I said to myself, I'm gonna go work you guys in waves. This is the way they do this. So today, they say the scripture tells us, I says, and David encouraged himself. I have to encourage myself and like, see, it has happened. When you're so expectant of something, and even before the money comes in, you already know where it is going into. I have bills of my boys from last time that I've never paid. And you are enthusiastic, you are yes, oh, when this thing comes in, I pay my tithe, this is what is going into this place, and all of a sudden that hope just went. I just said to myself today, this morning, as at 3 p.m., I didn't have a future that I was going to cook. I was just like, I just want to stay indoors. I don't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to, even my kids, I was being cranky with them, and they had to stay off me completely. Of course, at some point I realized that it's not these children's fault. I mean, why am I passing out aggression on them? But I couldn't really help it, and that was just the honest truth. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it, and at home, he came and said, "Mommy, we will be fine." Just it was more like a dictator. And I got up. I said, "Okay." I said, "Mommy, let's try and cook now. We'll sell something. We'll have something. You do a job every day. You've not done a job in the past 2 weeks now. You've not put money. I do a daily contribution there. At the same time, I have this local polo where I drop money every day. So you've not done that in like 2 weeks, Mommy. Last December we could use that money for something tangible. But last December we just need to offset bills of school fees, outstanding school fees. I was able to pay off before we had for last time and this new time again. So he reminded me. I knew it was just Holy Spirit speaking to him at that time. And I just got up and said, "Okay, oh yeah, let's cook." And Paola, we started putting everything together. So we were able to get something done. So being resilient, I've seen it, and I can. Sometimes you don't want to be. Like I told myself this morning, I don't want to be strong. It seems like everybody expects me to be strong. Everybody says, "Oh, you're a very strong lady, man. You are dogged, man. I salute your courage." But sometimes I don't want to be strong. I just want to be that baby girl that gets all the pampering. I just want to sit down, put my legs on the couch, and just loud and say, "Okay, you know what? Everything is being taken care of. Everything is being sometimes being resilient." And so sometimes when I read that Amah story, I could resonate with her to some point. I could resonate with her to some point that okay, so maybe she was pushed to doing that, maybe being a prostitute and now becoming the madam that gives ladies out was the last option she had. Just maybe we were not told this. Okay, she went to school. I think she did her SSC. Like
Maybe.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I mean, I feel like that's speaking now.
Thank you so much for sharing with us, and we trust God that the what is behind you, and the better days are ahead. And we trust Him that He will open doors that you could in your mind could not ever imagine. And I like what you said about that. Who knows? Maybe it's in this place of doing what you're doing, that you're going to meet with what God wants to do. So, before now, once I hear, oh, someone went into problems, I get like, oh, how do we solve the problem and all of that? But sometimes God is in that detail, and He actually wants to use that story, because if you truncate what God is doing, then His story, I'm just trying to imagine, I'm trying to go to the story of Joseph in the Bible. Imagine if someone said that, oh, this guy is a slave, I've heard your story, or your brother told you what a terrible story, and the person maybe in his or her help to help Joseph now goes and takes him to Potiphar's house. Where God was going with him and all. And if someone heard that he was in prison, and the person goes to his influence, the king needed him. Perhaps he won't have known where he was, because imagine if he was not in prison, he could have been anywhere in the world. He could have traveled to the spirit. So this is I'm trying to help as I'm led by the spirit, because sometimes in our bid to do good things, we actually are getting the And I thought yes, that we got to create a good beauty in it for you. And there are many lessons to learn, because I realized that for us as humans, we seem to learn more when we are dealing with pain. Because
Yeah.
when you are in hospital, it's as if our head is not used to correct. It's you are broke that you now begin to have conversations with yourself. And that's when your head used to work. Well, for me, I know that by the time I'm broke, I know that I'm now like, okay, okay, how about you do this one? It's like that's when I used to hear word. Then I'll now go like ideas will now come. And when the money starts flowing small, small, I would forget all the ideas that God gave me in the valley. Then when I find myself back in the valley, I'm like, it's true. God told me this one. He told me that one. Then I start behaving myself again. Of course, we should not be stubborn goats that must always be in trouble before we listen. But I've realized that most often than not, the lessons we learn when we're in the valley are, are so valuable that we want to make sure that we hold on to them even when we find ourselves back on the mountain tops. And I know that God is in all of this detail. And of course, whatever it is we can do to help as we are led by God, we will do, but we need to be careful not to truncate the process. That's where I'm going with that. And yeah, we were talking about resilience, and that's where I hope we'll just draw the curtain tonight. Resilience is, in my opinion, is something that we should make sure that with all that we are teaching our kids, we teach them resilience, because resilience is what is going to, with God's help, of course, going to keep them going, keep them trying, will help them stay, they have staying power. You know, I like to think of the story of Samson and Delilah. Samson was this strong, muscular guy. He had a lot of muscles. He was physically strong. Delilah was a woman, possibly not as strong physically as Samson. But you know, the Bible tells us that she wore him out but because every day she was asking the same question. She was consistent. So she was mentally stronger than him. She was more resilient. Even when Samson would give her a story that is not true, she will test it. If it doesn't work, she still stayed with what she was saying. She was consistent. And you know, this today, when I said I saw that quote, I cast my mind back to when I was in secondary school. I had this group of friends, very stubborn. I don't even know how all of us found ourselves. Very stubborn children, like a senior will catch us, maybe tell you to kneel down. You're kneeling down there and you are laughing, and you know you are frustrating the senior because your spirit is not broken. The senior is punishing you, you are going through physical pain, and you are still laughing. And it used to frustrate a lot of our seniors. They are like, what type of children are these? They could be beating you, be doing whatever it is that they can do to cause you physical pain. And we are there, we are still laughing, and the seniors will be so upset because there's nothing they can do that will break our spirit enough to make us cry. And the aim was to make us cry. So whatever it is they will do, we were determined that we are going to end this thing with us still laughing. And most often than the seniors will just go like, you know what, just get out, just go away, because they knew that they could not break our spirit. And for me, of course, eventually, all my friends that were in that circle, I've realized that that resilience thing has actually helped us through life. Though we had to learn that we didn't need to be frustrating people, but that thing is one thing I would say that has been helpful for me. There have been many times where I'm like, what's even the point of all of this? But it's that understanding that I'm the one that determines what the outcome would eventually be. It's not the circumstance that will tell me whether I should laugh or cry. I will laugh. You know, on WhatsApp, I changed my name to Joyful Adenike. I've kept that for like 2 or 3 years on one of my WhatsApp handles. And that's because I've made up my mind. I don't care what it is that is happening around me. I will be joyful. because I've made that choice that I will be joyful, because in the middle of whatever it is I'm dealing with, I can find joy. There's something to be joyful about. If I don't find it in friendship, I will find it in the word of God. There's something that if I dig deep enough, I can find joy no matter where it is I find myself. And I'm not sure how I got to this point of talking about, I think we're talking about resilience. I believe it's one of the, because I'm sure even Oma's friends knew that she wasn't really like them. She wasn't really like them, though the circumstances of her life suggested that she needed to be in their circle. She was easy to be taken away from them because she was not really like them. She wasn't. And that part about expecting her to fight with Ashley over Zoe and all of that, yeah, I know she went with the intent of fighting, but I think there was something Ashley said to her that tempered her. I think it was something about that. It wasn't it wasn't Zoe she was supposed to face, or something of the sort. I know that turn around.
Okay,
There was
so I think
some.
what happened was, sorry for cutting you. What happened was Judith got scammed. So
Yeah.
Judith came to tell Ashley that she got scammed. So they left the dragging the two of them were doing and focused on Judith to know how she got scammed, what happened, and that was how they ended
Yeah, but I
it.
think there was something Ashley said that for me was also like a, of course, it was obvious that from the story, and then, by the time Zoe said her own side of the story that Mr. Coker threatened her, it come to drag at that point, because for her to just fall off the way of the earth, it was definitely, and for someone that really really liked Ife, I don't know how Oma would not have been, except she was an unreasonable person. It would be hard for her to continue to drag Zoe, because it's it's relatable. Everyone knew that Oma and Ife had to run away from Mr. Coker. Mr. Coker was obviously a terrible person. We didn't even get to talking about Richard, Richard and his sister, and the way they treated their mother. And for me, when I read that it was the day Richard decided to go and meet his mother that she died, I rolled my eyes a bit at that one, because I was like, this one is looking like Nollywood. How come it's the day she died gone that he showed up? It was feeling very Nollywoodish for me. But I just decided that at least she's far better than the other author that we were talking about. So I'll still take that one. I can still chest it. But when I see all of those, is the day that you came, that the person that you have been looking for something, that's when something bad or something good happened to them. I usually roll my eyes. But in all, I think I'll give the story 8/10. So to round up, I would just like to ask you, what's your rating? What would you rate the story? Anyone that can unmute can go first. What would your rating be? Okay, so it's just me and Omobola left anyway. What's your rating of the story? You can type in the chat if you can't unmute.
Okay. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here with you.
Okay. Yes, I didn't get the last part.
I said, what would you rate the story? What score would you give the
Okay, I'll
story?
give it 8/10. I mean, it's
8/10.
yeah.
We know where we are coming from, right? So we know the difference between what we just read and what we've been
And
reading,
what
right?
we did exactly.
Okay.
The difference is
All right.
clear.
So I'm going to stop recording now. Then, if there's anything else you want to share at that point, you can share. I'll stop.
Okay.